I'm going to start again the Ois Daled. So the shaila is that Rabbi, the Idach Gisa, as he began the second shaila, on the one hand, if it's a reichos, so why is there avodah of the ovis necessary altogether? On the other hand, what is reichos? Reach, Reich draws on the etzem, as we see when it comes to the nefesh. So likewise, the ovis were mamshich ha'atzmo shelamayla, higher than sebev kalalmin, higher than memala kalalmin, even higher than sebev kalalmin, the etzem. So what is the chidush of Matan Torah? The dafka as is shemen turak shmecha, but the shemen is nimshach through the reach. That's what reach means. It's the amshach of the etzem. So he started to say in the beginning, in Reis Gimel he said that the avodah of the ovis, the deeper meaning of Maisa ovis siman, is not simply a portent, a sign of things to come, as it were, but in the sinas koyach, he brought several rayos. All to say that the avodah that we are doing to be mamshich atzmos lamata shemen turak shmecha, your name flows out like oil as opposed to the fragrance. So this only happens, is only possible through the avodah of the ovis previously. That's what he's explaining now. So, Ois Daled, let's begin again. It's one nekuda, one essential nekuda, which we need to grasp, and then we'll understand everything else, Be'ezer Hashem. Although there's kama pratim, which still tzorich iyun further, like everything. But let's see. Daled. Bira Inyan, Yuvim Inyan HaGiluyim B'chlolos ha'olamus. First I have to understand the Inyan of Giluyim in creation. Now, B'chlal, the concept we're talking about here, subject matter, friends, is some of the most difficult and profound subject matter, Etzem and Giluyim, because it lies at the core of the whole fundamental problem of how do you reconcile ein Admo vadoi with creation. This is the fundamental problem that of life, which we cannot reconcile fully intellectually and certainly not experientially. Ein Admo vadoi means it cannot be anything else, and there is nothing other than the Eibishter. And the same Eibishter says, Torah says that there's a world. So there is a creation. So there is or there isn't. So we're trying to understand it is, but it's bottled, but mitzias, all of that's baiting, bringing us closer and closer to this truth. And the reason we need to know the truth is because it's the truth. And it needs, therefore, to define our lives. So, this is what the Eibishter desires. So the root of the whole problem, which is fundamentally, again, in the end, we cannot reconcile. It's mecheka atzmos. It's just God can do anything, so it's true. He's the only reality, and there's also creation. But the root of this fundamental problem starts with etzem and giluyim. Right there, the whole inyan of oir. Etzem bilti. So it is the core subject. Etzem. On the one hand, we say etzem bilti mishtan, etzem bilti mizgala. These are simple words that need to be understood very clearly and very profoundly. But at any rate, that's what he's talking about here. So let's try to understand a little bit, at least, what he's saying. Hopefully. The hopefully is on the little bit. So at Bira Inyan again, you have Inyan HaGiluyim B'chlolos ha'olamus. So first of all, what he's saying is this, what he's going to say. The kavon of the Bria, as we know, as he stated, is that atzmos bin nizgala lamata. As you learned in the previous maamer, when atzmos is nizgala lamata, what did we learn? It's not just lamata, but it's where? Everywhere. The whole ishtalshalus. All of ishtalshalus, all the levels of Giluyim become suffused with Giluy Atzmos. And that was, interestingly enough, in the previous Maimer, Tavshin Chav Gimel, he conveyed that in a detail in the moshel of Dir B'Tachtonim that's usually not said. Anybody remembers? It was one of the many chidushim of that Maimer, Shavuos Chav Gimel, where he talks about a dir as opposed to a bayis, a home that a person owns as opposed to a house or a building, property, a house that a person owns as opposed to the place where he lives. So dir is where he expresses himself fully, whereas his house is a means for an end. His house is in order to get revenue. But the end of the whole maimer, he said, and as a result of being in his house, the dira, so this justifies the bias, all the batim that he has. All the batim are all the oilemas, seder shtalshalos, because they serve the purpose. They serve the purpose. Begashmis, he gets revenue from them and he puts it into his home. So they're integral to his home. What that means is, when Atzma says there's a gala lamata, so Atzma says there's a gala everywhere, and all of Ishtalshalos, and then is privy to the kavon, the pnimius, gilu Atzmos, of which they are an integral part of. And as we said in the previous Maimon, not just an integral part of, because they serve the end result. You can't have a tachten without an elyon. You need to have the profit from the bias, from the rented homes, to furnish the dir. It's more than that. We explained that the kavon of Gil Atzmus Lamata is that not just the Maisa, but the kavon and the Giluyim, it's all one, a lichtike dir. That the Eibish's presence is not just essentially present, but expressed in all the nuance and detail, like a home, a clean, sparkling home that has myriads of details. That's the whole point of the home, is in the end of the day, dafka as Bam is dafka in the details. Not that your bedroom has 4 walls and a roof and a bed and a mattress. It's all the details in the color and the protim. That's all the giluyim. That's all the giluyim and protim be'emes. And that they are all reflections of Seder Ishtalshel, so should be. They found him in the Srafim, and everything that Seder Ishtalshel has is expressed in the Yid's Avodah. So they are all part of and essential and critical to the whole kavonda of Dir B'Tachtim. But it only happens when the Yid is mamshech atzmos lamata, like a lever. The moshel of the lever Chassidus brings, when you lift a building, lift it from the bottom. So when we David say berudim and amshachas ha'atzmos lamata through Maise first and foremost, and then the Maise is done also with kavonda, with the wings. So this lifts the entire dir, and all of ishtalshalos, meaning the batim and the dir, are also fused with the Eibush himself, with one essential purpose and desire and being, which is a relationship with you and being. Okay, at any rate, so again, starting at Dalet. So the Inyan of Giloyin B'chalolas Ha'olamus. So the kavana is not just oir per se, but that the oir should express atzmus. Not just the Giloyim of the king, but the king himself. That's the point of the Giloyim. Now, B'chal, that's a stira. Because of the world of Giloyim, the etzem, it cannot be revealed. If you're looking at the Giloyim, you're not looking at the etzem. Let me just address this for a moment, because these are just words floating around, and I'm a Gil student is sitting here, so I'd like to understand this. Can you explain this to me? What are you talking about? So we're trying to explain it to him. So etzem, first of all, it's a relative term. The ultimate etzem is the Eibush, the atzmos. But it's relative. Everything has 3 parts. Please, I'm going to stop a little bit, fill in the blanks to understand this. Everything has 3 components. There's the etzem, there's the pnimius, and there's the chitzonius. Or, another way of saying that, there's the etzem of the thing, there's the klal of the thing, and there's the protem of the thing. Everything. Gashmi ruchti. So a simple moshel, a gashmi is the moshel of a human being. Not to get the most gashmi is the moshel possible. So the etzem is a human being. And the talking face, physical appearance. A human being. Then there's the klal. In general, what type? Maybe it's better actually in psychology. not so much begashmis, the psychology of a human being. So it's simple, it's easy to see it. There's the etzem as human being. Then there's a personality type. That's the klal. Personality type, a certain oifi. And then there's the pratim, the details of his behavior, of his seichel, his midas, the way he engages, and all of the details of his external manifestation, bepel mamash. What the taich etzem built in Mizgala? It means that when you are looking at the klal, what type of person, and then looking at the pratim, so at the same time, you cannot be, and you're not relating to the person as a human being. The whole point is you're relating to him as his klal. In other words, etzem built Mizgala, to say this in different words. If I tell you there's a human being out there, do you have any idea of what kind of person? Built Mizgala? Just telling you this is not a mensch. There's someone out there. Built Mizgala is not known to you. You know there is a mitzius of a person. But built Mizgala means that he's not in any way, you have no relationship. He's not knowing that alone. There's no revelation contained in that statement that the etzem of the person. You go outside and you start engaging him in his giloyim, so then you're engaging him. But the point is, when you're engaging him, you're talking to him. What you are talking to him, you're not relating to him, human being. You're having a particular conversation here, which is expressive of a particular personality. You're not talking to him like you talk to anybody and everyone. It's not. It's a tziyur. There's a gil, there's a tziyur to this engagement. Whether you're engaging him because you just know him generally, or it's a specific seichel he's sharing, whatever it is. Bilti Mizgala means that as you engage in the tziyur of the person, you're fundamentally not engaging him as a human being, because then it's the same with everyone, and there's nothing. There's no talk. There's nothing. No, human being. Is that somewhat clear? So etzem built in Mizgala, by definition. As soon as you talk of Giluyim, the Giluyim obscure the etzem. And then you're dealing with the Giluyim, either klolis or protis, which is seif of mamala. Etzem built in Mischalik, it's another klal. This is in the market he is the Rishonim, the Rambam could be even. I don't remember now. Besides you going, the Goinim. Etzem built in Mischalik means etzem can't be divided. What that means is everything can be divided and it's still the thing. You have an apple and you cut it into pieces, divide, still small, it's a piece, still apple. When it still retains its identity. But when you get down to the etzem and you divide that, it's ois mitzias. You can't have two halves etzem. If you're going to tamper with etzem and divide, you could. Relative etzem. But the thing doesn't exist anymore. You don't have two halves. Everything else you can have in Giluyim and Sir, you can have a piece and a half. But in the etzem, there's no pieces. Oh, there is, or there is nicht. You tamper with that, it's not have two halves. You have nothing left, it's gone. You have just destroyed it. That's what means Pashat Begashmis. Etzem built in Mischalik. If you're talking Giluyim and so on, you can divide and identify, and it's still what it is, just a part of it. Smaller. Another detail, another smaller detail. Until it gets so small, you don't notice it. But in Inyan, you can divide the personality and the saibachlal and the protis into details, and you're still talking about the person. But if you start to divide, or you want to tamper with or address the fundamental person, divide the humanity into two, that's not shaykh. It's finished. Clear, somewhat. So what he's saying now is that the kavanah is this impossible thing, be'emes, that the etzem should be nizgal in the Gilui. That's not by saying yichud avayin aligim. That's the kavanah. that the etzem should be in a state of isgalus. What does it mean in Oasis? It means like getting close to it, but we can't fully till Mashiach comes. This is just the objective. It's like you're engaging someone, and at the same time, I mean, it's just in avodah it is shaykh, not even avodah. At the same time, you have this fundamental respect of the person as a human being that you have for everybody. It's not lost on you. You're dealing with a human being here, not just which everybody else has too. It's true. Not just the particular engagement that you're connecting to that person, whatever it is we're learning now, and we talk to each other. But they're all tziyurim giloyim, but and that's what we're focusing on. We're not thinking he's a human being. If you start thinking that, you don't hear what he's saying anymore because you're just relating essentially. But subconsciously, at least, it's this idea of respect. That's what malchus is, by the way. Now it's today's malchus, but malchus is the fundamental dignity of the human being, the I am. There's a word in English, the same word, the sovereign value of every human being, which is equal. That's malchus, and translates in the lowest level dafke. And we need to have that. We have to have this covered in respect. Even it's when halacha, even if someone's put to death, chayiv misa, for the worst transgressions, there's still in the halacha pashat. You have to treat the body and the person fundamentally a human being in the image of God, even as the mitzad the giluyim and tziyurim gefarlach, the person has to be killed. But then it sneezed the way in a way there's still respects and the halachas of as much as possible. We are still respecting this as a human being. That's the etzem. Even though we're engaged in a very, very terrible tzir, very terrible act. So there is this aspect of being conscious of the etzem, even as the etzem is bisgalus on some level. It's the fundamental respect that you have when dealing with any human being, even though you're dealing with them in a very unique individual way, because they're an individual. There is this aspect that's in that sense the etzem isn't isgala there, in some sense. It's not isgala mamish because you're talking intellectually, emotionally. You can't be thinking, I'm talking to a human being. You can't think that, because that's going to be front and center. You're not going to hear what this person is saying. He's saying his individuality, his seer. It's in the background. That's Torah in the background. Okay, let me get invited. So the kavan is the hinde is the Maamar said for itself. The hinde, yeah, is daled by the number 22, the first line. Because it's an order that should be a likus revealed in the Olam, which is the kavan. It means dir betachtonim, but through dir betachtonim, that ends up again transforming all of existence, like we said, the batim and the dir. So the first fundamental, again, as we addressed yesterday before Mustama, I hope we're appreciating and understanding the Kudah. It's right here. First has to be this fundamental novelty of Atzmos being revealed. I'm not talking revealed to anyone yet, to an alien, to a tachton, just the whole notion of revelation. Fundamental chiddush. Inyan ha'oiri, inyan ha'gilui. Why is that such a big chiddush? Because, as again, there already is a haskama, there's muskim, there's an admission when you say the word gilui for otherness, even though unthinkable at this level, unthinkable meaning there's no place. It's gilui atzmos. At the end of the day, you said the word gilui, revelation. So it's already setting in motion the whole inyan of creation of otherness. But where does it have to start with? Before there can be an other, there has to be the inyan of revelation. Gilui atmos l'shem gilui. To start saying God's revelation. There's no to whom, there's no other, there's no... But there's the Inyan of Gilui. This is all within Atzmos, obviously. Everything is within Atzmos. But this is patently within Atzmos. Nebish is a Kol Yochel, and he gives rise to and decided to give rise to the Inyan of his revelation. It's all happening within him, but it's the Inyan of Gilui. Are we clear? Yeah, to the degree that we can. What's the oir over here? It's not to another, there's no other yet. But just the Inyan of revealing the notion of God's presence being revealed.
How does oir and Gilui Atzmos are different, no?
It means oir. No, why is it different? It's what oir means, it's revelation. This is oir at the highest possible level. Oir means revelation. That's what it means. It's a projection. Oir projects from a source, by definition. It's Gilui. But where's this Gilui? Batzmusik. What does it mean? It means the best words I can come up with for this is the notion of revelation. Like koyach, the potential of revelation. All Mishalim Chassidus, koyach hayuli, and even deeper. That's the first thing that Eibishter gives rise to. Yeah. Now, once the Inyan of Gilui Batzmusai has taken place, as it were, God has given rise to this. So then you can have Giluyim and these Tzimtzum and so on, and Oilamis, the rest follows. But what's the Kavanah? The Kavanah is that Oilamis should not just have an Oil Mitzumtzum, but the Kavanah is that Oilamis, in the end, that's through our Avodah, should have the Gilui Atzmusai the way it is in its first Atzmizdika expression, which means the uncompromised eye of God. That's what creation should know, not just the merest glimmer and reflection of ha'orah. The Payol, they're only a ha'orah. After the Oid is a great Tzimtzum addition, and it's the holy Shtalshalos, and it's a ha'orah and a ha'orah and a ha'orah, a reflection of a reflection of a reflection of a reflection. But the Kavanah is that in this ha'orah, this fundamental Gilui Atzmusai, that's not a ha'orah, that's God's decision that He be revealed in His full glory. That should be revealed, the Matan. In the ha'orah. Further detail, let's go. The Tamadovar. So what's the reason for what? The reason for what? Why can't they can do anything? So just go from Atzmos to ha'orah and finished. Atzmos to creation. Bim bum. You can do it. Creation, you say, the Shtalshalos, the whole Geschäft. Why does it have to be first? What's the time, the reason? Because God can do anything. So why does it have to be that first has to be the Inyan HaGilui Batzmusai? The reason is that the result of this first and primal decision, there should be Gilui Atzmos, Nifel Ba'atzmos, Inyan HaGilui, this is all part of his Kavanah. He put in place, made a reality of what? That his essential being can be known and will be known by us, lamata, and through us. So why didn't Abishai just give rise to ha'orah? Because the ha'orah doesn't reflect him. And he doesn't want revelation just for the sake of oir. He wants that the oilema should know him. So the primal oir that is first revealed is an oir that reveals his very etzem, not just ha'orah. In other words, again, you can go from atzmos to a ha'orah mitzumtzum, and that's it. And holy shtalshas will follow. Why must there be first this gilui of atzmos? Because he wants the ha'orah in the end to carry through atzmos himself. Let's a little bit further, you get more words, and maybe it'll get a little bit clearer. That's what he wants. He wants that his very essence be known. and he has in brackets, that there's fundamental stir between etzem and gili, whatever it means. But the etzem is revealed in its full, the Eibush in its full, uncompromised, essential being. But let's keep on reading. And then after the Giloi Atzmi can be a Giloi of Ha'ora. Ha'ora means the Tzimtzum, Oir Insof, and all the Dargis and all that follow. But, Ube'oifen, Shadidei Ha'ora Loichim Gamasa Atzmus. Since this Ha'ora itself comes from the original Oir, which is Oir Atzmi, therefore the Ha'ora is capable of carrying Atzmus, which is what we effect through Avodah. Let's read a bit further. So likewise, the Mokem Achol, what's he talking about? He's talking about the Eitz Chaim and Bemis. I don't know. If you look at the Eitz Chaim, it's a lo pashut legamri. Doesn't exactly say it the way Chassidus quotes it, but it's okay. Doesn't have to. The language of the Eitz Chaim is very difficult. In the beginning, the Eibush feel, that's what it says there. The beginning, B'tchila, so the Eibush fill the whole Metzius. What? There's a Metzius? What does this mean? But Kapanim Edemis, it's all Mavur and Chassidus, but and Chassidus uses a little bit different language, even not quotes the Eitz Chaim. And that is as follows. So the Mokem Acholo, what's the Mokem Acholo? The Mokem Acholo means a vacuum. The Eitz Chaim uses that. The Eitz Chaim uses very graphic language, which is open to gross misinterpretation, which people did. And understood the Tzimtzum Kepshutoi and got it all wrong. Until the Alter Rebbe came and set the record straight. Because he says there at the beginning, what it sounds like is in the beginning, there is God who fills everything, whatever that means, and then he moves his presence to the side. Silik. He removed his presence, his Oire HaGodol, which, if you read it there, means like him, to the side, creating a Mokem Chalal. As you all know, there's 4 shittas in the Tzimtzum, it's Kipshuta, not Kipshuta, it's in Etzem, not in Etzem, it's in Oire, not in Oire. The end is, the Alter Rebbe, it's not Kipshuta, it's in the Oire. But that's not our subject. But this is what's critical to know right now. So, the Eibush makes this Mokem Cholol. The Mokem Cholol, obviously, is only after there's the first Gilui Ha'or. Not Shaykh Mokem Cholol and Atzmus. It's not Kipshutoi. It's in the Or. But then it says, at least the way Chassidus explains the Eitz Chaim, so there's this Mokem Ponoi, this empty space, the Mokem Cholol, which he then fills. It's filled. Tchila, the first stage is the Oir Sof is filling all this place. Then comes, it seems, another Tzimtzum, and then the Eibush projects the Kav into the Mokem Acholol, giving rise to Bishtalshalos. Tzadichiyun still, but it seems like this, therefore there's repeat that, the stages. Atzmos manifests Atzmos Oir Sof. Then comes the Mokem Cholol. The Atzmos Oir Sof fills the Mokem Cholol. Then comes the great Tzimtzum, and then thereafter he projects only a Kav. So the question is, if you're only projecting a Kav, why do you have to have the Oir Sof fill the Mokem Cholol before? No, but just the process could be much simpler. Namely, Atzmos Oir Sof, removed, Mokem Cholol, Kav. That's it. No. Before the Kav is Nimshech, the Atzmos Oir Sof fills the Mokem Cholol. Then removed, and then the Kav. Why? Because the Kavanah is that this Atzmos Oir Sof, which reveals, which is this Dargi speaking about now, which is Gilui Atzmos, that the Eibishter one should be revealed in what's the Mokem Acholol, where Seder Shtalshalos and Bria takes place. So it's there already, latently, and now through Avodah we will connect to it. It needs so much more. But it will never end. So let's just try and get as best as we can, and go and go for it. Let's read it again now. There is a gambling. We didn't start it yet. There is a gambling again. The vacuum, as it were, h'tshel that the beginning is that the Ein Sof then fills the Makom HaCholol. Why is that necessary? Why must it fill the Makom HaCholol? If anyway, you're only going to project into the Makom HaCholol a kava in mitzumtzum. Answer, bichdei shemokim HaCholol yimesugel gilo ya'atzmos. Because what the Eibishter wants is that what should be revealed, not just the tzir, not just the oir, but the oir should carry atzmos. She'ein b'shvil ha'eres ha'olemes. The level of the essential being of God, God beyond creator. This is all creator. In other words, Oir Stam means creator. God's beyond creator. So he wants that the Oir, his creative manifestation, should carry with it this truth. And we should access this truth and reveal this truth, that he is beyond creator. It's in simple language saying the same thing. The Eibishter is beyond creator. And therefore beyond Oir and Giluyim and Tzir, the highest revelations, infinite, and all of the greatest virtues and the divine intelligence, and v'chulu v'chulu. He's totally beyond that. Because Al Pi Teva, in other words, Al Pi Teva logically, we're part of creation, so we should only be able to access God as creator. That's our source. And that's incredible. To appreciate and connect to the creator is an incredible thing. Zog Davish, because that's not me. I want you to know me beyond creator. And where's that invested? It's, as we're going to learn now in Torah. And we'll learn how the others are integral to that whole process. I'm saying the whole thing in different simple language. Other faiths, which there's legitimacy in these meditations, etc. And Be'emet is before Chassidus also, that the whole kavanah is to connect to the Creator, the Rebbeinu Shalom, the Master of the world, the Beira Olam. And the whole meditation is to look at creation and see how it's all the manifestation of divine wisdom and attributes, and it's all the handiwork of a divine intelligence, or even an infinite intelligence, an infinite being, that is the creator of this incredible universe, and not just Gashmi, but h'tshel. Says the Eibishter said, no, I don't want you just to know me as creator. I want in my creation to know me beyond creator. So therefore, in my process of creation, which is all about Oir and Giloy, fundamentally there, the Giloy of Atzmus is present in the whole process from the get-go. In the Makom HaCholol was revealed, and therefore means present and therefore accessible, the Eibishter beyond creator. And then that's the kavanah. To know me beyond, again, this incredible producer of creation. Okay, we're just going to continue now, Be'ez Hashem, on Monday. The Maimer, the bottom line, the Avodah, that was spells out for us. We understood as much as we did. The main thing is the appreciation of the bottom line. That when a Yid does a mitzvah, so he's connecting to the Eibishter himself, Atzmos is revealed to him. Atzmos, the Eibishter himself, beyond creator, beyond all description, beyond all revelation. That's what we have in every mitzvah, and this is invested to us, and through us, all of h'tshel becomes privy to that truth. Because h'tshel thinks God's a creator. That's what they think. How could they think otherwise? Look, this is what he did, produced us. They find out through us, and it starts with Moishe Rabbeinu's debate in heaven. No, the Eibishter is beyond this glorious creator. And they find out and experience that, connect to the Eibishter himself, dafka through us.